Hello, this is Black Country Blokes chewing the fat.
Listen.
I've been hearing a lot lately about men don't talk, but in my experience, men do talk, just people aren't listening. So it's going to be me and a group of blokes discussing our struggles and victories through life. Warning, there may be some bad language, so apologies to all the moms, especially my own. Let's get going.
Listen.
Yeah, this is Black Country Blokes chewing the fat. With me, Kev Dillon, Lee Cadman, Craig Pinches and Aaron Dew. Today we're talking about travel. And when I mean to travel, that doesn't mean you've got to go to Japan or to Thailand. Travelling in is just getting out of your village. Like for me, getting out of Warleaf or Kingswinford. The beauty of travel is seeing things that you wouldn't normally see, talking to people you wouldn't normally talk to. And how I've had all my education really is by meeting these people. That's why I'm very blessed to work in this boxing club around here, all for volunteer. But I meet these people and with their different life experiences, they've lived in Yemen or they're from travelling communities, the Irish or the Romani, and opening my eyes up to how different cultures are. I remember I went to your wedding, Aaron, and it was so wonderful. Me and our Kate went, and it was wonderful to see a different culture.
I think like when you're on about travelling, I think that can, like events, you can be in the same area, but if you're blessed enough to go to, like you went to Aaron's wedding, where it's cultural, you know what I mean? Like you see a lot in Dudley and stuff like that, and you think, bloody hell, they look like they have a ball, and the amount of things you can learn from other cultures and that. Like you say, you've not necessarily got to go out your area if you're lucky enough to have friends from different backgrounds. You know, travelling's it is a big learning curve, and that's why they say travel while you can. Don't wait until you got money to travel, because you'll never have enough money to say I'm going there now. You know what I mean? Just travel.
Yeah,
you know, while you're young.
To me, it's what you travel on as well, because I think about myself, and there's nothing better than me than going down to my caravan, but going on my motorbike, and that makes a big difference. Going over all the valleys and Elan Valley and whatever else, and it's great. It's great when you're on a bike zooming through all that compared to in a car.
Because you get to take it all in. I mean, it's very rare I'm a passenger in a car. You know what I mean? I'm a driver. Drive my family everywhere. Anywhere I go, I drive. But you know, when I am lucky enough to be in a passenger side and we're around countrysides, mate, I mean, I'm a bird of prey. I love bird of prey. So you know, when I see them, you know, the kites and that, when we're on the motorway heading to wherever we're going, and you see the kites and that, and them hovering, I almost, like, you know, I shouldn't take my eyes off the road for that long, but I'm in awe. And I think the beauty of observing the scenery and stuff around you, mate, it's unmatched. It puts everything into perspective. It finds you in a calm.
Well, because I don't drive because of my eyes, it's hard, so I'm always the passenger. But like what I was going to say is, don't wait for people to come with you when you're travelling. And I learnt this, like I'm precious being blind, so my brother lives in Thailand, so I used to go over every year to see him. So I'd get to the airport, mum and dad would take me there, or one of my friends, and then I'd get assistance onto the plane. Then I'd get off the plane, they'd help me find my luggage, and Richard picked me up. So, but then when I was there, I'd go off travelling on my own. I'd find someone, I'm a natural survivor, I'd talk to someone in a bar, jump on the back of his motorbike, go somewhere else. He'd bugger off, I'd jump on someone else's bike, and I bounced around. When I went to Cambodia, and I paid a tuk-tuk driver, I said, my name's Mr. Kev, and I give him some money. I went, I won't see you, but whenever you see me. So he'd jump out going, Mr. Kev, and I'd jump in and say, where are we going? And I just went off ducking and diving on my own. So, and that was such an experience. And I've met so many other people, and I say, go to Thailand, go to Spain, go to Liverpool, and they go, but I haven't got anyone to go with. If you're waiting for someone to fill in your life, you won't have a full life. Sometimes you've got to grab the bull by the horns and just think, now's the right time for me to do it.
Absolutely.
And that's the journey. It's not the destination, it's the journey. And the journey might be painful, but even the painful bits are your bits.
Yeah, definitely. I just want a bit of a spin on that. So I've been fortunate to travel quite a bit. Thailand as well, as you said, Thailand. So one of the things travel has done for me, similar to how you pointed it earlier, was we weren't necessarily, okay, we've got the money, let's do it. It was kind of like, let's just do it and we'll figure that out later on, because we might not ever get a chance. So we been very fortunate to travel a lot of places. And what me and my wife do, we won't stay in the most kind of tourist area. We'll stay just on the outside, because what we like to do is one of the days we just like to go into like the streets and just kind of see what it's like. So Thailand as an example, I remember one day, God knows where we were literally like 3-4 miles away from the hotel, so we having to walk back, had no Wi-Fi signal, and we walked past this house and it's probably looking at 20 meters across here, and there's like a 3-generation family there. It's almost like something you see on a television advert. So there was like a grandma in like a chair, there was like an elderly man, probably a son, and then there was a little kid on the floor, and they were just laughing, like you could hear them laughing, which is why me and my wife looked over across the road. And then just outside their house, well, it was like a little hut, there was like clothes, and with all due respect, like they looked like they weren't washed, but they were evidently just been washed. And we literally stood there for about 10 minutes. We didn't even say anything to each other, and we were just like, wow. And like that was happiness, that was fulfillment. And it was like, they have so little, and I mean that like with all due respect in terms of like monetary stuff and all that sort of stuff. And we just thought like, because obviously we were budgeting before we were going on holiday, thinking, have we got this, okay, we've got this much saved, and we were like, what we've got saved is we could potentially probably buy all of that and be just as happy. And then it kind of teaches you a lesson that like happiness and fulfillment, it's not with your money. I'm doing like a money gesture here, it's here. And it taught me so much that when we come back, my perspective and gratitude for literally everything was on like another level. Like materialistic things literally don't bother me one bit. It's about trying to be happy.
My dad always says about, I think it was an advert back in the day, and a white guy sails up on this island, and there's I don't know what ethnic majority, wherever he's from, on the beach, and he says, well, why don't you build some hotels, build this? And he goes, if you save all the money you can have, he goes, what, where I'm living now? Why do I need the money where I'll get my food from there, I pick my food off that, I see my children playing every day, what else do I need?
It's crazy. I mean, we was in Turkey in May for 3 weeks, and we like to explore, me and my partner, and the mum came and we had the 2 kids, and we thought, we'd heard of this place, and for the life of me I can't remember what it is. If I remember, I'll say a little bit later on. And we thought, we'll go on a day out there, and I'll call it the real Turkey. You know what I mean? I shit myself. And getting on the bus and no one speaking English and trying to figure out how much we'd have to pay bus fare. It was a 2-hour journey there. That should have been an indication. And then we got off the bus and we was in the middle of Turkish civilization, the universities, we went there for a market, and I was worried, you know what I mean? I have my kids and I'm looking around and there's patched up bikers, you know, Turkish bikers all patched up, and they've got their eyes, and I'm thinking, fucking hell, where am I? You know, there's no one like, and everyone's staring at us, and me being the only white lad there, tattooed up and whatever else, I felt intimidated. I thought, bloody hell. And we went in the market and everyone was staring. I just wanted to have it away on my toes and say, come on, let's get back on the bus and let's go. But we stayed there and nobody bothered us. And when I went back and I spoke to an Arab that worked at our hotel, he said, no, what it is, he says, is because if an Arabian prince walks down your street, you're gonna look. He said, because they don't see people like you often. So if I'd have had it away on my toes and just gone as soon as I was a little bit fearful of, you know what I mean, being in the middle of Turkish civilization, no one spoke English at all. You know, I wouldn't have experienced it. We experienced some of the food there and whatever else, and it was an experience. Probably not one I'd revisit quickly because it was quite intimidating. But you learn a lot. You learn that, you know, what you think is not always how it is. You know, I thought that people were looking and, you know, wanted my head on a stake basically. But it's not like that. They were just curious.
I went to a place in Thailand, Korat, but it was in the jungle part, and we were there, and the kids would cry when they saw us because they thought we were ghosts, because we were white skinned, because they'd never seen a white man before. But it was great because you're there and you learn about cultures and you're weighing, you know, where you put your hands together and you pray. And I love that seeing. And no matter where I am, I always try and learn and say hello, thank you, and please, because that's common manners. And if someone will teach me something, I'll try my best to learn it.
I think that, I mean, I was starting to learn, you know, I'm not even, I think it might have been Urdu or something like that, our local shopkeeper. he was teaching me, and I'd go in there and talk to him kind of in his language, like digalala, you know what I mean? Like, and I'd talk, and people would look at me, people I grew up with, or just people on the estate, and look at me and say, "What are you doing, mate?" You know what I mean? I thought, I like learning different languages, I like learning different cultures, and like going back to like the Turkey story, it speaks volumes when the lack of understanding we've got. You know, when there's people around us that are from different countries and different cultures and different backgrounds, and they struggle with English, how frightful it must be for them, for us to be getting our hair off. Not us in general, but you know what I mean?
But we're very lucky because English is the second language of the world. And when you go somewhere, you'll see a Russian talking to a Frenchman, talking to a German, all in broken English.
Yeah.
So we are allowed to hide behind our ignorance
Yeah.
of where is the shop.
But we can't even speak English.
No.
I call.
Oh no, you call.
I mean, look at me. You know, but
I'll tell you a story about generosity. We went to Langkawi, which is in Malaysia, and our cards got rejected, and we had to go to payphones. We were phoning up on the payphone, and they're saying, "Yes, Mr. Dillon, I'll send you a bank card to Warleaf." I went, "I'm in fucking Langkawi. What's it going to do me there?" And we had to go, and we had to try and rent a motorbike, me and Greg, very good friend, and said, "We haven't got any money." He goes, "I'll tell you what, have this motorbike and go and sort it." I went, "But we haven't got any deposit." He goes, "Well, when you get your money, pay me. If you don't get it, it's just a nice thing to do." And I thought, bloody hell, I can't even get, if I go down to the Prince Albert and say, "Can I have a pint on tick?" They'll say no.
only because they know you, though.
Well, you know, for these people, and I'm taking a bike and I haven't got much money, and they're saying, "Well, if you haven't got it, at least we've tried to help you." And I thought, what a lovely way of
I
being.
love that.
It's that benefit of doubt, isn't it? That it's mainly like the Westernized civilization. They've lost all that in this sort of a self-serving
money now,
nature.
isn't it?
Exactly, like what's in it for me, or do you mind if I lend your bike? What am I going to get out
It's
of
all
that?
about entitlement now, isn't it?
It's entitlement,
massive
exactly.
thing,
You know, like them kind of stories. You think that them kind of people don't exist, and that's why I say don't tie to everyone with the same brush, because it's so easy for us to treat everyone like we feel we're treated, but then we become entitled.
Absolutely.
I think this hasn't even with travelling, but like in the working class communities, normally the people who have got the least are the most generous. Well, I'm used to being hungry, so if you'd like to share my crisp sandwich, I know it feels to be hungry. Whereas someone with a lot of money is, well, no, I'm not going to give you a tenner when I've got 100 grand in the bank, because this is mine. They have no value of it, no
I think
compassion.
that matters so much. That's literally, you know how we were just speaking before this podcast, how I take calls with people on our property on the way. And the reason I do that is one of the reasons when I first got into property, I lost a lot of money and I had loads of sleepless nights and I was literally like in tears and thinking, fuck, what have I done here? Because I just took a gamble. And it's like, knowing what it's like you just said, if someone's been hungry, you don't want to see other people like that. And sometimes I'm grateful for having that little bit of adversity in my life, so you can kind of empathise with people. I think, definitely agree with that.
I mean, like when I've been working and that, when I've worked on the building site or whatever, I find different. Like when I used to work on the roads, I used to have to reinstate, and I used to find the upper class people, we'll call them, they didn't even want to speak to me, didn't even want me outside the house. But you know, like the working class folks, "Do you want a tea? How many sugars?" And I was like, "Bloody hell, that's magic words to our work, man. Do you want a cup of tea?" And I said, we know what it's like, mate. And you think, like you say, it's the ones with the least that usually give the most. You know, that's how I was brought up. You know, like the bricklayer I work with now, when I first met him, he had no lunch and he was going a bit wobbly like, and I only had a sandwich, and I get a sandwich and a packet of crisps, and I give them him. And I found out, he said afterwards, he said, he stopped me from passing out. He says, "Oh, I'll never forget that." And I think it was nothing to me. I was hungry, so it was nothing to me to get the sandwich and a packet of crisps. You know, and I think, like you say, our entitlement stops that now. I mean, it's replaceable stuff. I can go make another sandwich.
Most stuff in life is replaceable. Your family and your health isn't, but your bits and bobs. We always put some fruit on the desk at the club, so if kids are hungry, have an apple, have an orange, have some bananas, because what is it? You know, food is to be ate. If you don't get it gets thrown away. And that's why this year at the club, like every year, we raise clothes and toys for either the women's refuge or people, because I would rather it go on Aaron's back or under Jasmine's Christmas tree than to go into a shop where I'll give you for free, but you can spend 20 pence and it could sit on that shelf, and then the wages and the lecky and the rent's got to get paid. I'd rather go, Lee, you have this top, Craig, you have these trainers, Aaron have, and Lee putting clothes on backs. And I think that's what we should do more of it. Because not everyone's a hustler, not everyone, well, he can afford it, he shouldn't be having it. Who are you to say that? Because you don't know what's happening, you don't know how much is in his bank. And if it can make his life a bit better off, and you don't want it, who gives a toss?
And I think that's it, like the assumption on people's circumstances by us, not like I say, not us in general, but by a lot of people, that restricts them from that giving nature. Because like you say, that he can afford it because the car he's got, because he's got it, but you don't know what troubles he's facing in home, and you don't know how much a month he's paying for his car and whatever else. So why not give him something that you're going to throw away, or you know?
My good friend calls that the golden handcuff scenario. He's used to having these holidays. He goes to Mexico every year and he's got a brand new car, and then by whatever happens he loses his job, but his kids still expect the PlayStation. They still expect the holidays, so he puts it on tick, he gets it on his credit card and he has a loan. And then normally the poor buggers who end up topping themselves because they can't say to the wife, we can't afford it, but we've always afforded it. What would the Joneses think next door? So he just keeps doing it, and then lo and behold, he has no other way out. And what a tragedy that is. You know what I mean? And it's not he's lost his health or he's lost someone. He just can't, he's lost that way of life. And to him, he sees no other option but to take his own life.
I think that's like with me. My son pretty much has everything he wants throughout the year. I've not got to wait for a special occasion, and few people pick me up on it. I don't do it to spoil him, or I don't do it so he's a brat. He has to appreciate it. You know what I mean? If he's got two or something and his friends never got one, I've always said to him, I'll never shout at you if you give him one. It don't matter what it is and how much it costs. So it's our appreciation, and the reason I do it is because my dad couldn't.
Yeah, it's on the very same one.
And it's not that we didn't want to, my dad did well by us, you know what I mean, and my mum, obviously still together now, they did really well. We was always fed, always clothed. My dad worked 2 jobs at a time, you know what I mean, up until he was ill and nearly lost his life. So it's not about being a brand tart or about wanting to spoil him to be boastful, because I'm not a boastful person and my son's not. It's about giving him what he wants. If he wants money off me, have it. Even if it's my last tenner, he can have it. And I'll say to my partner, he's got all the time in the world to have to worry about money when he's older. Let him be a kid, man. You know what I mean? And that's not.
But isn't it a shame now that you don't see the kids doing much for nothing? You know, just out kicking a ball and stuff. And I think that is the thing when you go travelling. A lot of times you do see kids being kids. Although now, because of Wi-Fi and everything, when you go away, you do see more kids with a very snazzy phone, because even though they haven't got much, they are still involved in the world of the internet.
There's that saying in there, I think it was tailored to like poor people, the quote was, I read, and it was, poor people don't have the most of anything, but they make the most of everything. And I think that, you know what I mean, they do. Like when you see pictures of kids and them just kicking a ball, you know,
no shoes on.
No shoes on, you know, and in a poverty-stricken country, and kicking a ball and the joy on their faces, you know. And like you say, that's what you get from travelling. You get to experience them different cultures, and you sort of do, like you said, when you went to where was it? You went to Thailand, and you put it into a different perspective for you. And our appreciation, where we think, oh, we're budgeting, bloody hell, we're broke. We've got food in the cupboard, we've got a heated house.
The lights are on.
The lights are on, our kids are off, they're in education.
First world problems, isn't it? That's what it is.
And that's the thing. Okay, we might be struggling in comparison to the rest of the class system within our country, but we don't live in a shanty town.
Yeah, but again, it comes down to comparison though. It's like if you get to another level up and you become a millionaire, you're looking at, you know, the multi-millionaires, then you're looking at the billionaires.
Yeah.
And, you
I
know,
think some are. Like, I'll be happy at $1 million.
Yeah.
You know, I think you spoke about it earlier. All like for me, to have enough money to be able to spend more time at home
Yeah.
is it. So if I could have enough money not to work, and it's not that I don't enjoy work, I absolutely love work, but especially with my daughter, I know I'm going to outlive her. So should I be spending my time at home with her, or should I be spending my time going to work?
Your time, it's that age-old saying, time is the greatest commodity that you're ever going to have to trade. You know, you're never ever getting your time back. You know, and I think you said that before as well on one of your podcasts, and you never are. And I came up with an idea, and I still can't get a painter to paint it for me. And what I wanted to do was get like someone to paint a dad, a picture of a dad with an egg timer, you know, the egg timer glasses, and like everyone's sitting there with their own egg timers with the lid off. So you got work, you got bills, you got gym, you got everything else, and the dad's slowly pouring sand into each one. And I wanted right at the end for a kid to be sitting there, you know what I mean, with a little egg timer, waiting for his dad to pour sand into his egg timer.
It very much, your kids can very much come last in that time hit.
And that's what I'd like to do with the painting, but getting someone to bloody paint it for me is a different story. But it's down to that time, like we're travelling, like you say, you don't travel much, or you can't travel much. But even if you go to Stoke-on-Trent or no, you don't want to go. No, you don't want to go to Stoke-on-Trent. But if you go to Stratford, you said to me the other day, didn't you? You know, when I was out for a day out, every time Kev phoned me the past few weeks of the holiday, the kids' holiday, he said, "You go on some good days out?" Because I was in Bridgenorth and then I was in Stratford-upon-Avon. I was in this. And I said, because I'd been working all 6 weeks and my son hadn't hardly seen me, I thought, these last couple of weeks, I'm just going to take him on days out. And I enjoyed it. You know, I enjoyed that more than sitting writing music and whatever else, because I see him laugh, I got to play with him. So travelling, like Kev said, you got to rock on a plane for 4, 5, 10 hours. You know, you just got to get about with who you love, I suppose.
Well, yeah, because when we were saying about you and the egg timer, that's I think I talked to all of you separately before we had this, because I had to feel like the world was on my plate, and because I feel like I start every day with a massive bunch of logs, and I'd give Lee one, I'd give the boxers one, I'd give everyone one, and I always felt like at the end of the day I was just left with embers, and I was trying to blow on the embers to keep my family warm. And sometimes what we've got to do is save a few logs for ourselves, because if we don't do that, it's only the ones we love the most and ourselves that suffer.
Yeah. It's amazing though, because a lot of the time is spent to try and provide a better life for them. Yet you robbing them of their best life because you're out trying to provide a better life.
To me, that goes back to my childhood, because I was very much like you. We had a single mom, and we had a roof over our head and had food on the table. She always provided that. But you also see as a kid what your friends got, that new Nintendo, and now I associate that with my son, thinking I don't want him to go to school and see that, you know, be that one that's left out, and all my kids that one that's left out. And my dad was the same. So my dad got hand-me-down clothes, so now he's older, earns a bit of money, he makes sure he goes out in designer gear, and it's not that he's overly fussed, but he's in his childhood he had hand-me-downs, and that always stuck with him. And he was teased for that.
My dad was like, because his mum passed away when he was like 4 or 5, so he was raised by my granddad, and they're never a rich family, you know what I mean, in the 60s and 70s. And he used to say to me, in our house, I think he was one of 8 or one of 9, he said it was last up, worst dressed. You know what I mean? You had to get up to get your clothes. And like for that, I put in an old song of mine, and it was hand-me-down clothes. That's how we got dressed. But Dad's work ethic, that's how we got fed, and that's paying homage to him to say, look, at the time when I was getting victimised because I wore Dunlop and Airtech and iTech and you know what I mean, all the, I'll say the shit, and well mate, at the time Puma, King, Astro, Terse with the tongues, the red ones and the black and gold, they was a thing back in the 90s when I was at primary school. And you used to have this one sport brat and whatever, like he'd have all the best, and they'd just look you up and down, you think, mate, and you felt so insecure as a kid. Kids are vicious, man, and kids are also very
I think that's the beauty of this country, and a lot of people argue about having uniforms at school, but I fully agree with uniforms, because the only thing you had to have was half-named shoes, but at least then you could wear you could have one pair of trousers, one shirt, one blazer for the week.
Yeah.
But if you had to every day had to go in that same, it must be very, very tough.
But there's no shame in it, man.
No, there's no shame, but it's the
I used to
bullying.
love when my auntie used to come round for my cousins, like me and my brother, because we were like 11 months different when we was only kids, and my mum and dad would be talking to my auntie and uncle, rabbiting away, and we'd be sitting there just looking at 3 bin bags thinking, come on, hurry up. we want to get in them bin bags, like, and we get in and they mine, and we used to love it. It was like Christmas for clothes for us. But it, you know, if anyone found out, you got ridiculed for it. But now, knowing what I know now, and that's the beauty of hindsight, is that I don't care. I'm proud and I'm glad that, you know what I mean, I'm proud and I feel privileged that someone has not threw the freaking clothes away. They've given to us. You know what I mean? And I think
we were lucky in our generation, like you said. I'm the same as you, pretty much the same upbringing. But I grew up now, and in hindsight, the one thing I did get was meals together every single night. We used to watch films together. We used to go to San Mar Valley on the weekend. We used to go for a cinema once in a blue moon, or McDonald's on like every other Friday. And we used to do that stuff. And what I realised is it's that quality memory time of love, which is really important. The flip side is the kids nowadays, what they've got is this mobile device in their hand, and they're seeing everyone do amazing things, literally 24/7. And that comparison kicks in. But we were fortunate because I grew up now, and I sometimes think, you know, I wanted the Mega Drive, I wanted this. I got none of them. And about 4 years later, I got the old Master System, which was already like 15 years old. But, mate, I was over the moon because I had Alex the kid, and I was, you know, having the time of my life. And cut long story short, when we started fostering kids, and the first thing we did was the same thing. We were in a better financial position, all of us. I was working in London, and I come back, and me and my mum went to Toys R Us, and we took the 2 lads, Kyle and Josh, and we said, whatever you want, because my dream growing up was buy Toys R Us. It's the thing, because I could never go. And when I did go, it was like you can have one thing, but your limit's like 10 quid or 15 quid, whatever, which was fine. I used to buy like wrestling figures. So anyway, we took the kids went crazy, picking up everything, throwing everything around, and the bill come to like 1,800 quid, right? And we're like, fucking hell, right, fair enough. These kids have had literally nothing. So put it in, and we went to like IKEA. Me and my brother did their beds. We literally give them everything. I'd say a weekend, never touched any of that stuff again. It went straight into the loft. We should have returned it, like, but we're thinking they want it. And all they used to do is just wherever we were watching TV, just come sit by us right in the middle. And even till this day, like, all they want is family time. So although we're thinking in the back of our heads, it's okay, let me go get you an iPad, or let me get you this. Really, it's probably, how's your day been? Let's have a conversation, let's talk, or do you want to go grab some lunch? Should we just make something
together?
Absolutely, mate. Because memories, that all my like happiest times were never actually when I got like the Masters when I was playing. It was like I got to watch that film with my dad doing that, or my mum did this with me. Do you know what I mean?
See, that really to me, that's an impactful story. Like, I like hearing stuff like that, because that's from experience. That's not you just preaching, you know, this is how it should be, and this is what you should do, and this is what you shouldn't do. This is you saying, my experience, we've done that. And they didn't touch any of it. All they wanted was to be with us.
I have to do a safeguarding course every 3 years, and we think of abuse, not sexual abuse, nothing to do with that, but like abuse, neglect. When you think of neglect, you think of that scruffy kid who is wearing dirty clothes, and yes, that is neglect. But neglect is also the banker and the doctor who just comes in and goes, here's your 100 quid, go away. Daddy's having his glass of wine, mommy's doing this. Neglect is, as it says on the tin, not giving time, and that, someone who's wealthy can give as much neglect as someone who's poor. Neglect is not having that time, that love. What you've just said, them babbies who your family took in, they were neglected before, whereas you never neglected them, and that could be, I've only got £2 to last me the week, or I've got 200 grand to last me the day. It's not about the money, it's about the time and the love.
That was like, there's a social media post that you've probably seen posts around ages, and about that kid who asked his dad how much he earns an hour, and yada yada yada, and his dad goes off on him because he's always working, and right at the end he says, you know, I just wanted to buy some of your time. I wanted to know how much I got to save up to buy your time. And you know, it is powerful stuff, and I think it's important to cut yourself free from that. I need to get him this, I need to get him that, and it's still nice if you can, but if you can't, give him the time.
Give him 5-10 minutes, I guarantee you. That's what I would ask for more. My mum worked 3 jobs pretty much all her life until she got depressed, and then she had to give up work. And the only thing I'd ever ask for, not or could I have had an extra one of this, would just stay at home a little bit more. She was like never home, so it's like that moment she was home, because I'd never had nothing to play with. It was like, oh brilliant, mum's home, I'll chill with her. And that was like the best memory ever.
It's right though. He's like, I can't look back and think, yeah, I remember when mum and dad got me out for Christmas. Or I can think, yeah, I was happy, but I can't think it meant something to me. But
Exactly.
you remember when they've took me somewhere in the car or to a caravan somewhere, and you think that time that nearly broke his bloody
And it'd be
neck.
the same for your kids. I bet if you sat with your kids and said like, what was the best day of the last month or something,
Yeah.
I'm sure they'd say, Dad, when you took us to Bridge North, or
That's it.
you
They
guys
will.
went to
Interesting to do
caravan.
that, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
They will turn around and say, "Oh, it's when I reach the next level and got a new skin on Fortnite." Because that's them short-term fads.
Jasmine, whenever I say, what's your favourite part of holiday? And she always says, when me, you and Mommy were lying in bed eating Daddy Crisps, because we have Pringles on holiday, and we always sit down in bed and we have Daddy Crisps. And that's always her favourite part of
There
holiday.
you go, mate.
Do you really like Pringles?
She is grossly obese.
I think it's a beautiful. Time is a beautiful thing. You just need to. You just need to appreciate it.
It is a hard balance, though, isn't it, between providing enough and.
But who do you want to? Why do you want to provide for? This is why I get Jade asks me all the time. Why do you want to make it big in the music industry and get the money and whatever? I said because I want to do music. Full stop, in a dark room making music, knowing you lot took care of. I said to provide a better future for my kids, and it always says to me, yeah, but you're robbing their childhood, the money kids want. And no matter how many times you hear it, I mean, it's starting to sink in. It's like with stories like you've just told, it does sink in.
It's the opportunity cost, though, isn't it? That's with anything in life. So like I'm sitting here now, whereas I could be sitting at home with my wife. You could be sitting with your kids.
Yeah.
You could be sitting at home with Yasmin. But
Yeah.
that's life. And I think the one thing that I realised, and this is through like experience when I speak to people, is whatever you do, make sure you want to do it and you're not just doing it for the gram or you're doing it for someone else. But then once you've done it, just make peace with it, because you're never going to get that time back. So I went into social work, and then I was like, oh, fuck, this isn't for me. I can't make a difference here. And then I just had to give it up and make peace with it. Otherwise I could be beating myself up for the rest of my life, being a social worker and being unhappy for the rest of my life. Whereas now I'm happy. I live life on my own terms. I do exactly what I want to do. But I had to make that decision. So everything I do now, and it's just a little tip, as soon as you do it, just make peace with it, because you wouldn't have wanted to do it in the first place otherwise anyway, if that makes sense.
And
That's
don't-
why I regret some.
Don't feel guilty for being ambitious. Don't feel guilty for, I want to be
100%.
a music, I want to be, because that's what we do. We feel guilty. Yeah, that is time you can spend with your children, and we all want that. But at the same time, it is
You've got your
okay.
own life as well, haven't you?
Yeah,
You've got your own ambition.
It's okay to think, I want this, I want that Bentley, I want this holiday, because we're human beings, and as much as high and we do want stuff, and that's okay. And when you get it, don't feel guilty for having it, because you can only give so much. And that's where we go wrong sometimes with charity work and everything. We're going, well, surely I could give a little bit more. Give what you can, but don't feel guilty for your own successes.
Make peace with it,
Make peace.
The flame of your candle don't have to dim because you want to light your kids up, I suppose. That sort of thing. You've got to keep that burning inside you, otherwise you become depressed.
if
and
you
negative.
lose your purpose,
Yeah.
then everything will fall apart. If you look at most people, I mean, you think back to maybe like our grandparents' ages. The moment, like for example, my granddad, his mom, he worked his whole life, got us into this country, worked however long. The moment he stopped working, within like 6 weeks, gone, half. His purpose was gone. Similar with my mom, like she worked her ass off from like cleaning, like literally cleaning asses as a like healthcare assistant. All that, got herself a degree at like 45, and then depression and stuff kicked in. Then she literally lost the purpose, and she's like lost now. And it's like trying to get that back in. And Tyson Fury just did a brilliant. It was a 5-minute clip that Rock reshared on Instagram. It was emotional because obviously it's close to my heart, the mental health story. And he talks about it, and he talks about like. Growing up, I think from 14, he goes, I knew I was going to be the best. I knew I was going to X, Y, and Z. I really wanted to do this. And he goes, and when I got it, it was like, shit, what now? And then he obviously went into this dark tunnel and
You'd
stuff.
only planned up to that point. hadn't you?
Absolutely. And then what he realised is, he goes, actually, you know what the only thing I want? Is just to be happy and fulfilled. That's it. So now they were talking about how he's now like, I'm going to exercise every single day. And I think right at the end he says, and they were like, what, even after boxing? He goes, yeah. He goes, I'm going to carry on exercising. I'll look like The Rock. And I think that's why The Rock retweeted it. But if you watch that, I'll share it in the group actually, I'll put the link on this podcast. But it was so powerful because that's somebody who, especially kids here, come to this gym, we all want to be the world champion. Everyone wanted to be a world champion, as
Yeah.
most guys growing up. But then it's like, then what? And that's the thing. He never had a then what. And his purpose was literally, that's it, it's done.
Is that the one where we said he only ever wanted to beat Klitschko?
No, he
No,
just
no.
wanted to be the world champion.
And
I
when he
have
got there,
seen
he
that though, where he said he only ever wanted to beat Klitschko, and once he had.
well,
It's
Oh,
the
yeah.
same. Yeah, it's the same. The same.
You find that a lot with people who achieve, don't they? Because they don't. There's no. That's been your full focus for that long, you know. And you find then actually you hit that, and you're like, okay, I didn't plan for anything after.
But when communities folded, when the mine closed and the docks finished, everyone had a place. But when it went, and there's no reason to wake up in the morning, there was no aspirations.
That's it.
So what do? I go and buy a bag of this, or I go and have a couple of cans of that, because I had no purpose, and that's sad. So never feel ashamed to want to better yourself.
And sometimes you can have too much time on your hands, can't you?
They say the purpose of life is a life of purpose. You know, I've heard that one before. And Custom Motto, I watched him, and the old documentary, and he said, you know, I believe people die when they want to die, when they've got no reason to live. You know what I mean? And it all boils down to keeping your own vision and your own purpose. You know,
something bigger than yourself, I would say. If you have something bigger than, like for example, Kev, you probably got your own goals, but really it's bringing up these kids and helping them, and obviously you got your family ones, but for this gym, and the beautiful thing with that is that's never going to stop, because young kids are going to keep coming in. You've always got a purpose, you've always got a new person to help them with their confidence, come over, so indirectly you'll always be doing it. But just make sure that one day if ever you have to stop this, there's something else that will get you out of bed as well. That's really important.
Yeah, bang on. So I think we'll finish on about the club. A little saying that I always say to the lads when I'm absolutely hanging out their own arse and they can't breathe, and I always say, you've earned the right to be tired, but you haven't earned the right to give up. So until next week, gang, ta-ra a bit.
Listen.